Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be what has been, in my opinion, the championship team of the season so far. So obviously now, guys, we are well into this season. We are now in February in the championship, and so I thought it was time that I give you sort of an updated version of what I think has been the championship team of the season. Obviously I did do one of these videos probably about 4 or 5 months ago, I believe, so I think it's about time that we had an updated version, but this time I'm more interested than ever, really, to hear from you guys. So what we're going to be doing in this video, I'm of course going to be talking you through what I think has been my team of the season, but I'd also be interested to get your guys' opinion on this. So in the description down below, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave 4 different polls that you guys can each go ahead and vote on. So I'm going to leave a goalkeeper poll, a defender poll, a midfielder poll, and a striker poll as well. So there'll be probably about 20 options for each poll that you guys can go ahead and vote for, and then it'll be said down there how many of them you can vote for. And then in one of my future videos, we're going to be going ahead and comparing the team of the season that you guys have voted for compared to my one. We'll definitely take a look at them at the end of the season, as well, as I feel like, you know, different fans of different clubs will probably have different opinions on who they feel like should make it into this team, but I feel like this could throw up some interesting opinions. And make sure you do leave a comment in the comments down below as to who you guys will be voting for, on who you think should make it so far. So without further ado, guys, let's first of all get into some honourable mentions from me. So as you can see on screen now, guys, here are some of the players who, in my opinion, have just missed out on what has been the championship team of the season so far. And of course there's going to be loads of players who we're going to be leaving out of today's video, as we literally can't involve all of them, but there have been a lot of good players this season in the championship, so we'll quickly talk you through the bench. So of course we've got Robert Snodgrass in there, incredibly unlucky not to make it into this team. George Saville, I think, has been excellent for Millwall this season. We then got Kieran Dowell, Ben Davis, who in my opinion has been our best player so far this season. Ollie Watkins been brilliant for Brentford. We got Martin Waghorn in there, what a signing he's been for Ipswich. He narrowly misses out of this team. Jared Bowen as well, been a terrific player for Hull City so far this season, as has Junior Hoilett for Cardiff City. He's really unlucky, I think, not to make it into this team. We then have Leo Bonatini, one of the top scorers so far this season in the championship, but just there's a couple of players who get the nod in this team ahead of him. We then have Joe Bryan from Bristol City, probably been one of the best fullbacks this season in the championship in my opinion, and the same can be said for Bobby Reid going forward. He's been fantastic. Recently for Bristol City, the wheels have sort of come off their season, but that's not to take anything away from these guys who have been excellent for them. And then we of course have to have Gary Medine. He's another one who is unlucky not to make it into this team. Of course he had a fantastic season with Bolton Wanderers. Of course we then saw him transfer on deadline day going to Cardiff City, and he just misses out on this team in my opinion. So as you can see, guys, there are the honourable mentions of players who just narrowly miss out of this team. Like I said, there will be other players who have also narrowly missed out onto this team, but without further ado, guys, let's get into the starting 11. So guys, we will of course start out with the goalkeeper, and in my opinion, coming in goal, it is going to be Scott Carlson from Derby County. Now I'll be very interested to see actually who wins the poll on this one in the goalkeeper poll down below, because for me, in my opinion, it's between two. It's between Scott Carlson and Sam Johnson from Aston Villa, and it is a bit of a toss-up between the two. I'm just going to go ahead and edge Scott Carlson for this spot. He has conceded less goals than Johnson has at Villa so far this season, and some of the saves he's pulled off have been absolutely outrageous for Derby County. Currently they have the second best defensive record in the championship, just behind Wolves this season, and Scott Carlson has played a massive part in that. Then we do move on into the back four, guys. So coming in at right back, he's not really a right back, he's played at centre back so far this season, but nevertheless we are first of all going to include Connor Cody into this team. Now for me, I felt like I had to include a Wolves player into this back four, as so far this season they have had the best defensive record, so I feel like that warranted it. And for me, it was between Connor Cody and Willy Bolly, and I was really 50-50 between the two. The only reason I decided to go for Connor Cody is of course because he's not a lone player, so I thought that that may give him a slight advantage, I don't know really. But the thing that's impressed me most about Connor Cody so far this season has been his, of course, leadership in that defensive unit, which Wolves have been so good with so far this season, and as well as that, his passing range has really gone to surprise me, you know. He's been a player who, of course, he was at Wolves last season, so Nuno's come in and coached him, and, you know, to my knowledge, he didn't have the best of seasons last year, but this season he's relished playing in that centre-back role, and so he gets the first spot in my team. Then slotting in as our first centre-back, guys, we are going to have Sol Bamba from Cardiff City, and in my opinion, he does deserve it. Just an absolute beast for Cardiff so far this season. So far, they've only conceded 27 goals, and, you know, that's a defensive record to really be admired so far. And one of the standout things from Sol Bamba, I think it was earlier on in the season when Neil Warnock actually said that this guy is a better defender than Virgil van Dijk, which was quite an interesting comment from Warnock. And then coming in to partner him, it is of course going to be Aidan Flint of Bristol City. Now, recently Bristol City have had a couple of cracks in that back four border. I mean, so far this season, he's scored 7 goals as a centre-back, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And that alone, in my opinion, gets him a place in this team of the season, of course. He's a leader at the back, and being 6'6", he's always going to be an aerial threat. And so far this season for Bristol City, he has been just that. Then coming in as our left back into this side, this one can come as no surprise, really. It is, of course, going to be Ryan Sessegnon of Fulham. Now, there is an argument to be made that he's not really a left back, but he has played the majority of his games for Fulham so far this season as a left back, of course. He has, of course, played on the left wing and as a sort of attacking midfielder at some points in time in this season as well. But so far, he has scored 11 goals, which is absolutely ridiculous. Taking into consideration the age of this guy and the amount of potential he possesses as well, he is a shoehorn into this team, and without a doubt. And Fulham fans, you know, it's going to be no surprise to see Sessegnon leave the club sooner rather than later, but the fee that he is going to go for, in my opinion, is going to be absolutely astronomical. Then moving on into our midfield, the first player coming into this midfield, I mean, this one can come as no surprise, really. It is going to be Ruben Neves, of course, probably the biggest transfer that we've seen this season in the Championship. Ruben Neves, he really has come into the league and taken it by storm. He has been an absolute joke. He scored 4 goals so far this season for Wolves, and all of them really have been absolute worldies. But it's not just that he contributes to this Wolves side. Looking over some of the compilations of Ruben Neves for Wolves so far this season, his passing range and the way he's able to dictate a game is just an absolute joke. Then moving on into our right midfielder, coming in we have Albert Adoma. Now for me, it was a little bit of a toss-up as who to include in this starting 11 between Albert Adoma, Junior Hoyler and Robert Snodgrass. And between Snodgrass and Adoma, it's a very close one. And I'd be interested to hear from Villa fans as to who do you think has had the better season. If we're judging it on recent form, then I'd probably put Robert Snodgrass in this team, but the reason I'm going to put Adoma in there is because when Villa were in a little bit of turmoil earlier on in the season, Albert Adoma was the player who was completely carrying them, you know. When all of their other players seemed to be on an off day, Albert Adoma was the player who was still delivering for them, and really he has played a key role in why they are currently sat second in the Championship. So far he has scored 13 goals and got 3 assists, which is a brilliant return from him. Then coming in into the left wing position, we of course have Diogo Jota from Wolves. Once again, can't really be that much of a surprise. Of course, we're going to have a few Wolves players in there since they are sat top of the Championship, but watching over some of the compilations of Jota this season, he is an absolute joke. His technical ability is just, it really does go unrivaled in the Championship, and some of the individual goals he's been able to score this season and the plays he's been involved in with that trio going forward this season has been a joy to watch at times. And so far he's been involved in 12 goals scored, and he's also going ahead and grabbed 4 assists as well, and in my opinion, more than deserving of a place in this team. Then coming in as our attacking midfielder, once again, this can't really come as a massive surprise to you guys, but it is of course going to be James Maddison from Norwich City. So far this season, Maddison has just been having a goal of the season competition by himself, really. He has scored some audacious goals so far in this Championship year, and it's no surprise to see him get involved in this team. He's gone ahead and grabbed himself 9 goals and 5 assists in a Norwich side who have been fairly struggling for the majority of this year. So overall, he's been their shining light and more than deserves a place in this team. And now, guys, we do move on into the business end of the team. So coming in as our first striker, this is probably the area of the pitch actually which I'm most interested to see who you guys are going to be voting for. But the first player coming into this team, it can come as no surprise. Currently the top scorer in the Championship with 17 goals. It is of course going to be Mate Vidra from Derby County, and currently he also has the best minutes per goal ratio in the Championship. Currently he's scoring a goal every 110 minutes, which is absolutely ridiculous. If you compare that to some of the other top players in the championship, I mean, you've got Leo Bonatini 172 minutes per goal, Bobby Reed 225 minutes per goal, Diogo Jota 227. So for Vydra to have a goal every 110 minutes is honestly mad. And he's been playing most of the season as sort of not an out-and-out striker. He's been playing behind the striker as well in that sort of attacking midfielder role. So for him to be bringing in those numbers for Derby is mad, and he more than deserves a place in my team. Then to finish off the team, we are going to have to put in Leon Clark. Now, I was debating who to put into this final striker spot. I was going back and forth in my mind a couple of times, and so there's definitely fierce competition in this area of the pitch, as there have been so many good strikers this year. But for me personally, I am going to put Leon Clark in there just for a couple of reasons, really. Of course, he has gone ahead and bagged 15 goals for Sheffield United so far this season, but as well as that, we just weren't expecting this from a player like Leon Clark. Of course, he's failed in the Championship before, and that was the general feeling of how he'd do again coming into this season. So just for the sheer fact of people weren't expecting him to be this good, Leon Clark gets the final place in my team. So as you can see on screen, guys, there is my Championship team of the season currently. So do you guys agree with my team? Let me know down below. And as well as that, guys, make sure you do vote on all the polls in the description down below, as I'd be very interested to see what your collective view of what you make of the Championship team of the season so far is, and I'd be interested to see how similar or dissimilar it is to my team as well. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you do subscribe for some regular Championship content. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.